is a requirement for effective and efficient service delivery by the government. So indeed, Census 96 results are very, very, very important. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Sotetsi. A census is the largest mobilization in times of peace. It touches every household in the country. In times of war, it can only be equaled by war. Although war doesn't touch everybody, it does affect everybody economically, but a census touches everybody in the country. And therefore, it is the largest mobilization in times of peace. It reflects the ability of those in authority to mobilize. It also reflects the willingness of those that are being counted to participate. A country without a census may show apathy, may show lack of participation, and may show a lot of other views that may not be that well cherished. The ability to mobilize and the ability to participate leads to making the country go forward. Mr. Chairperson of Statistics Council, thank you for your kind words. I think the choir, having welcomed the people here, the audience, will also welcome your kindly statements, both from the Deputy Chair and yourself. Choir Master, please. I'm not very sure whether you are aware that we deployed about 100,000 enumerators throughout the country. 100,000 people, the entire stadium would have been filled. That is the number of people that we deployed. I can see Mr. Manuel arriving. Please welcome him. I am sure any moment from now, we'll have Mr. Manuel and the President coming through. And ladies and gentlemen, I am sure you are waiting with a bated breath both to meet the minister and the president, and also to receive the results of Census 96, 2 years down the line. It was exactly on the 10th of October, 1996, when we went out into field. It is exactly 2 years and 10 days that we released the results. Not only a number, but a whole range of products. This is what makes this census quite different, because we are giving a lot more detail. It usually takes 3 or 4 years to get the results out, but we only get a number and some thick tables. But this time around, the tables are accessible, user-friendly, and you will hear more about that as we go on. The President has arrived. Ladies and gentlemen, let's rise. Chairperson of the State Council and your deputy, if you cannot measure it, you cannot manage it. Dr. Mark Oken handled the arithmetic right, head of the CSS. It is my great pleasure to welcome our guests of honor to this occasion. We are honored, Mr. President, because 2 years ago, 2 years and 15 days ago, you launched the census. And 2 years and 20 days today, we are handing over to yourselves the results of the census. What an honor to us at Stats SA. You send us out to do the task. We are back with the booty, and we are handing it over to you. Could we ask Dr. Oken, but before he does so, the choir to sing the song for the release of the census results, and then Dr. Oken.
Thank you, choir leader, Mr. President, Minister of Finance, MC, Chair and Deputy Chair, and members of the Statistics Council, members of our Census Advisory Committee, honored guests from all sectors of society and all parts of the country, visitors from abroad, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Way back at the time of union in 1910, the second parliamentary act of that new government was to call a census. It was administered by a minority about the concerns of the majority, and succeeding censuses have proceeded in the same vein. 85 years later, it has been our privilege to conduct a very different census, the first in the history of our country in which everyone has been treated with equal dignity as citizens, and the first census since 1970 in which all parts of the country were uniformly included. From the outset, Stats South Africa was keenly aware that we had to set a baseline for our new democracy. There was a great thirst for development details from the smallest town council to the largest national department. So we were also determined that it had to be the best census in the history of our country. Now, the fascinating feature of such an operation is that the quality of the data depends initially on the commitment of your staff, which rises to 100,000 people in all, and the trust of your informants, finally in 9 million households. Only finally does the effort depend on the sophistication of your statistical adjustments. For good methodological reasons, therefore, to be the best census, this had to be the people's census. So first we mounted a huge publicity campaign in order that people would welcome the census stranger into their homes and share with them details of everyone's lives. Secondly, we sought to reach out into every household directly and in the same way, not relying on aerial photographs in some areas or a long-range model in others, as had been done in 1991. We translated the questionnaire into everyone's official languages and arranged interviews so that less literate people wouldn't struggle. And we processed the data in all 9 provinces to spread the skills while also working close to the source of the information. And finally now, through the free publications, the media, the internet, as well as the more specialized priced products, we are trying to give the results back to the people. By these measures, President, Minister, colleagues, we believe we have enhanced the validity of the census, as well as ensuring its legitimacy. People in the audience will have seen from the census movie that it was not plain sailing. It was exhausting and daunting, as well as the most exciting job of our working lives. We learned some tough lessons along the way about management and measurement in the largest public process in our country. In particular, we had to make some pioneering advances in solving the challenge of adjusting for undercount in such a diverse and unevenly developed such as ours. Missing some of the people is inevitable in any census, and especially in a very heterogeneous and mixed society. And after the preliminary results, our further research uncovered that especially rural people were more likely to underreport who had been missed in the original effort. This required further adjustment, and we accordingly undertook a massive job of matching hundreds of thousands of individuals until we could make the requisite calculations and reach the right answer. We presented these final results to the Interim Statistics Council and their group of experts, and at last we are satisfied that the correct counts are now in place. Previous speakers have thanked the innumerable people involved in such a mighty effort, and I want to echo their appreciation. In the many, let me mention only 4. Paddy Lahotla, our MC today, on whose broad shoulders this extraordinary effort has rested. His immediate deputies, Henny Lutz and Motali Pirwa, and our head of R&D, Ros Hershowitz. Their staff their colleagues in the service and other departments of the CSS, our international advisors, our helpful colleagues in government departments and throughout society. We express our thanks to you all. Statistics South Africa can now announce the final total from the census for the population of South Africa as of October 96, and that is 40.58 million. Let me repeat the number, 40.58 million as of October 1996. President, Minister, Chair, a single figure attracts a lot of publicity. So also the breakdown by provinces in our new country, which will be phased gradually into financial planning now that the figures are available over the next 5 years. But as important is the wealth of detail for development with which we were charged the collection right at the outset. Let me just touch on some telling numbers. We find that 6% of South Africans had some post-school education, but 19% had no schooling at all. We find among the employed the good news that the upper quarter earn more than 2,500 Rand a month each, but the lowest quarter still earn less than 500 Rand a month each. Our South Africa contains 54% of its people living in urban areas, more than half. But also, more than half still don't yet have an inside tap. And nearly half still use candles or paraffin for lighting. Quite a reminder in our high-tech environment. There are many such statistics already in Census in Brief. That's this little jacket-sized publication, which you'll be able to receive on your way to tea. There's also our report of the count and how it was done, and both of these are free to any citizen in the country who requests. Our results are on the internet and in electronic format. We must, of course, remember that October 96 is the benchmark date for the data. There have been changes since then. Services such as water, electricity are delivered increasingly to extra thousands of households. And of course, the population continues to grow and to move, and researchers and policy users will have to bear these changes in account. President and Chair, there is a key advance in this census for the first time, not only in its coverage, in its treatment of the citizens, but in its outcome. For the first time, South African users will not only know the numbers, but to a patch of about 100 households, which will protect the anonymity of all of our informants, they will know the location of these numbers for the first time. That is, that tabulations will be available down to suburb and village for a powerful planning tool. Now, it's difficult to convey how revolutionary this is. I'm going to give you, technology permitting, just a 2-minute basic demonstration of what people will be able to do in government departments, local authorities, research institutes, on their desktop personal computers for the first time. Chair, this is running on an ordinary personal computer. You choose the rows of your table. There one sees the provinces, from Western Cape through down to Northern Province. On your personal computer, you choose the columns of your table. There you see the 4 population groups. You push go. Hundreds of thousands of records are instantly tabulated, yielding you the counts. You decide perhaps you want to display the African proportion as a percentage. With a few clicks of the mouse, you select the options, and then you work out that these will perhaps best be displayed on a map. There are the percentages. You select them for the display, and there is the map. showing the relative proportions of African populations in each province, in seconds, on your desktop, on demand. We believe this is unparalleled flexibility and power to an extraordinary level of detail made available from the census for the first time. As you see, the highest proportion of Africans is in the northern province through to the lowest in the eastern and northern Cape, with the other provinces on a spectrum in between. Colleagues, I think this brief demonstration is only the slightest initial indication of how we're delivering the census back to the people, the numbers that count for the nation. More figures and a longer demonstration will be available after tea for those of you who choose to remain. Mr. Minister, this concludes my announcement of the results. In inviting you to speak, let me, as head of South Africa, present you with the first volume of So it goes. A first volume of the Census 96 results from Stats South Africa.
I'd like to thank the new President of South Africa for the copy. And express the wish that he learns to dance like his predecessor. Mr. President, Chair and Deputy Chair of Statistics Council, Dr. Mark Auken, Head of Statistics South Africa, ladies and gentlemen, friends. Dr. Auken, thank you for presenting me with this first volume.